Hey watch lovers, Brad from Brent Miller Jewelers. And today's video is about on-the-fly micro adjustability. I have the Tudor Pelagos 42mm here in front of me. We're gonna do this one last. I'm not gonna go over any of the watches specifically other than just the micro adjustability. So I know it's a big thing for most of us watch enthusiasts. We like to have it. When we don't have it, we always comment on it. I'm not even taking the wrapper or the plastic wrap off these because again, we're not gonna look at the watch itself. But this is the new Breitling Superocean. And you can see here the micro adjustability on this is actually really good in my opinion. You have simply a press down lever that allows you to slide in or out for the adjustability on this clasp. The other part I like about it is you have actual links here that are sliding. And so the one nice part about the Breitling is you can slide in without pressing that. So you can get that to notch in without depressing that little lever here. But if you want to expand it, you do need to press this down and let that slide out. So again, I think Breitling did a nice job on their micro in this clasp. And the nice part about this one is you can, again, push it in while it's on the wrist. So if I have it on the wrist, if you want, you do have the ability to move that in. Again, these gloves are not helping, but this can be moved in. I did it before the video. Now, you can't move it out, but if you want to tighten it, you can. So you do have some adjustability without even taking it off the wrist, which I think is an added feature of the Breitling, the way they designed their clasp. So again, there's the new Breitling Superocean, and we'll try to go through these relatively quickly. The Omega Planet Ocean, again, looking at the micro, you can actually see they have a button in there that actually says push on it. So as you push down on that, it allows you to slide the clasp out. Again, pushing it down allows you to slide it in. The one thing I will point out on the Planet Ocean is as you push this down and extend all the way out, it's not a link like you would expect to see. So from a design perspective, you see you have the gap a little bit here in the bracelet. I don't love it. I'll be perfectly frank with you. I think the Superocean implementation of theirs, allowing for it to be the continuous bracelet, I think obviously works a little bit and just looks a little bit more flush and looks better on the case. So again, just a little bit of a difference in the execution on how that piece looks and wears. Again, if you're comparing it to the Planet Ocean here. Up next, excuse me, the Heuer Aquaracer. The only one that has the button on the outside of the clasp. So far everything's been a push or a lever on the inside underneath that clasp. Tag designs there's a different way and allows you to have two push buttons on the side. So the two push buttons on the side allow you to, you gotta pull those down, slide it from the outside, as well as, hopefully you can see I'm pushing those down and moving it. So on wrist, you can actually do this. You can adjust this bracelet from the exterior on wrist. You don't even have to take the watch off to move it. It's not exactly easy, but it can be done. I was able to do it. I'm not going to try it with the gloves on because it's a little bit more difficult. But needless to say, from a functionality perspective so far, the Heuer, if you don't mind, again, you have exterior buttons on your clasp. Whereas you don't have anything on the Omega clasp for everything's hidden underneath. I will say that the outside buttons here are not wider than the dual push buttons for the deployant. So looking at it, they are not wider. I mean, it may be very close to me. I don't have a problem with the aesthetic, but again, some folks may not like seeing that on the exterior part of the clasp. Moving along, we have Tudor's new T-Fit. I say new, it's been out for a little bit now, but they're T-Fit clasp. So again, interior part of the clasp, there's not a push button per se. You just kind of lift up and relieve some of that pressure and it allows it to slide out of the grooves. Same thing if you want it to slide back in, just kind of push down and allow it to slide. And it does lock into place. You can move this you can move it in, so you can shorten the bracelet just by pushing in. It will go in, however, it will not come out just by pushing it. So again, lift up, slide it out. So I was able to move this in on the wrist. However, it was pretty difficult. The Breitlings was easier to move on the wrist in, but you could do it with Tudor. So I don't want to say you could not, but it was just definitely easier taking this off the wrist to do it. But again, on the fly, micro adjustability, no tools needed, which I think is great on the new T-Fit clasp. I pulled out this Shinola because I wanted to make a point that a watch does not need to be expensive. You know, most of these watches here, the Superocean, you know, the Planet Ocean, the Tag Heuer, I think is around $3,000. So all of these above $3,000 until you get to the Shinola below $2,000. And you still get micro adjustability in a watch less than $2,000. I know there's micro brands doing it as well, but you can see here, there's just a pretty basic execution. It's a little push button here. So you just push this button down and it allows it to slide out, not going anywhere. Again, a little bit of a gap on there from a design perspective, but when all the way down, it's not quite flush, but again, that's all the way out. So you can certainly move that in, lock that position. And again, I got tape here, but you can see it's flush to the clasp. So again, it's pretty basic, but very functional. And again, a watch less than $2,000 with the micro adjustability. I wanted to point it out. It does not need to be expensive to have that feature. And then last but not least, I thought I would also throw in the Tudor Pelagos. This is the 42mm model. And this clasp is, and adjustability is completely different than anything else we've looked at so far. If you're not familiar with this clasp, you have 3 locked positions by these 3 little dots here on the bottom. And again, those just slide in. So right there, it's stuck in the bottom. Kind of pull it out, move it up, and you can get it into the middle position. And then you have the 3rd position. And then you have the position where it's not in any of those. It's just kind of sitting at the bottom. And that's where you have, I'm going to call them little bubbles, but the circle's coming all the way up. And that allows this to actually move as your wrist expands. You know, if you have this over a wetsuit or you're moving your wrist, articulating your wrist in any direction, it's just going to allow it to move throughout the day in the water. And that's done by these 2 springs here in the back. So again, you can see it just pulls and has those springs. More moving parts, probably more parts for failure, but again, really nice adjustability. From a functionality perspective, I'm going to have to give this one the win. I mean, the fact that you don't have to really do anything, it just does it on its own, is really, really nice. Again, if you don't like the look of it, that may be a different story. It does have a different design here to it. So those are the 6 I pulled out. I want to get your feedback. What's your favorite adjustability or micro adjustability on any watch? One you own, one you don't own. These are just 6 that I thought I'd show and compare real quick. I've rambled on longer than I've wanted to. So for me, of these 6, I think the Tudor here, I mean, again, you don't have to do anything. You just put it in that position and it takes care of itself. Following that up, I do like the fact that the Breitling and at least the T-Fit here, you can move in. So you can tighten those without even taking the watch off. The Tag, you can really do either way. With the outside style, the way this is designed, from a functionality perspective, it would probably be slightly better than the Tudor and the Breitling. And then you have the Planet Ocean and the Shinola. You do need to take it off, have a button on the inside, and then again on the Planet Ocean, with the way that comes out is a little bit more rigid and is not exactly integrated with the last link. So those are the 6 I have for you. Let me know what your favorite mic adjustability is. If there's anything I can do for you, email me, brad@brentmillertime. Thanks for viewing, and we'll see you in the next video.